Welcome to the bold analysis. I am seeing Spice FM presenter, one of my best, I think, amongst the mainstream journalists, I think Eric Latif. He did a presentation today in the morning saying, and actually repeating something that I've always been saying here, that William Ruto's speech is likened with stories Ajaba. And I'm seeing Kenyans really reacting to that statement, and has really left Kenyans talking. Listening to the president yesterday making that long speech, I think I reviewed that speech saying here that it was very plain, flat, and very intentional. And there is something that he did, and we didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. Listening to the president, he pulled a trigger, trying to put finality, or rather revive the server question, while defending his legitimacy in terms of what happened in the last general election. Trying to say about how the Supreme Court, our judicial system, had a finality and was a key variable in determining the legitimate winner of the last general election. And when I listened to that, I was very interested, because one thing I asked is, why did that come? What exactly was the intention of bringing out that? Because I want us to put it to a context. But before that, I think you can get a snippet of Latif's statement on President's speech as being stories Ajaba.
And people sitting back and just listening to the president and just hearing things that are being said. And the question is, how many people actually listen to these promises now by the president, by the deputy, by the other cabinet ministers, and take them to heart and see, yes, there's actually things that we are going to do. They are saying things, are people believing them. There's something called stories Ajaba in this country, right? People who just sit down and chew mira. Right?
Now, this narrative is coming at a time amidst Azimio reports that Azimio la Umoja are thinking of recalling the mass action. And let me tell you something. Yeah? I want to play for you a clip here of Raila Odinga speaking to some business, I think it was the Nyamakima traders, saying, and those people are asking him to bring back the mass action. You know, what assumption that some of us have made is that the mass action is called by Azimio. In the look of things, there are quite a number of Kenyans that have come out to protest about William Ruto's tax regime. And this came at a time when really these Kenyans are asking, and you know, Raila Odinga is being trailed by intelligence everywhere, because he is a man that is now seen as having a grip in the population. And in his meetings, or rather his engagement with the people, you can clearly understand what Kenyans are looking for, or what exactly is the mood of the country. Now I want to play for you a snippet of this video as we revisit, so that we come back and revisit William Ruto's server narrative. So there is a pressure calling for mass action. I once said here that the Azimio brigade, I think, went a little bit slow on the server question until sometime last week the president, the bipartisan talks, was told after the Azimio team claimed that there were reports of that the administration was trying to meddle with the servers, and they were calling for the administration to ensure preservation of the servers. But people don't know, one of the reasons why the bipartisan talks collapsed is because Azimio were asking the administration to ensure that the servers are preserved. And so, why do you think the president revisited that? To some extent, people saw it's a bit of a legitimacy thing, but I want to put it to a context that the president is talking about, is trying to be defensive and tell the country about his legitimacy, now that the tax question has really elicited reaction from the country and has really charged the nation. The server question that the UD administration is bringing has some three objectives. One is to suppress a mass action that will be called against the tax. Let me tell you, if on Monday, Azimio la Umoja are to call a mass action, if they call that mass action, it will be on protest of William Ruto's tax regime. And that kind of calling of that mass action would actually project them as people's defenders. And they, of course, want a situation where it's a mass action that goes beyond political affiliation or political persuasion. Because when you talk about tax, the 3% do not know that you are either UDA or Azimio. And so when the reason why this narrative is being brought forth now is to show, or rather try to create a feeling that it has just been brought in the fold because of that Azimio are not calling for a protest over the current standard of living or rather the current tax regime, but it is a ploy to try to dangle the country. It's not about the tax, but it is about legitimacy. You know, someone will still say, even if today you call a mass action and say that we are opposing the tax regime, you will be told that you are not talking about the tax, you don't just recognize William Ruto as the president. Now, William Ruto is determined and is one of the breakaway points in that bipartisan talks. This server question is emerging because Ruto is signaling the server audit position on the bipartisan talks. And I want to say here and repeat, the essence of that bipartisan talks is supposed to heal what has been happening in our elections. The number one is about probably the cost of living. But if the bipartisan talks do not revisit the audit of last year's general election, then it has lost its significance. And the reason why President came to public and remind us about his legitimacy, the way he's legitimately elected, is to try to downplay what is happening in the bipartisan talks. Because one of the reasons why the bipartisan talks have been suspended by the Azimio is because of the question of the audit of the last presidential election. That is something that UDA do not want to hear, they do not want to entertain, and they are willing about everything but about that. And because Raila Odinga team might have known that that is the point, then you must hold on it. The signaling the president does not want. Because I can tell you, any slight audit, any audit that will show a slight variance between the last year's general election, the results, and what that audit is all about, or other inconsistencies in election management, would actually throw Ruto under the bus. Because the country is already saying, wait, did we really vote for him? Is this the person that campaigned? You know, people are already asking themselves those tough questions. Number three, the narrative is a defensive narrative as disgruntled Kenyans questions legitimacy over the tax that is being forced down people's throat. So we're just being reminded because we are asking, is this really the person we voted for? The country is asking that, and because the Kenyans are a bit disgruntled by the tax regime, the administration is bringing that on hold to try to tone down. Ladies and gentlemen, are you looking for solutions of interior and exterior designs? That is why we are talking about Kwango Art and Design. They are specialists in different, they are the specialists and they're giving solutions in different exterior and interior design solutions you need. We are talking about if you need interior work such as the gypsum, the ceiling, the kitchen wardrobes, the tiles, paintwork, office furniture, the reception desks, Bado, you need to make sure that you contact Kwango Art and Design. Remember, they're specialists both in commercial and residential interior designs. Now, one of the amazing things you need to know here is when you contact them, they'll be willing to move to every part of this country, take the measurements, and you can sit down and negotiate on the costing. You know, sometimes after building one, and I know about this, one of the most interesting costs that comes, it's normally treated as secondary, but it's not very easy, is about the design. So you need good looking restaurant, you have a house you're building up country, you are out there, you need an interior designer, then you need to check out Kwango Art and Design. Their contact is here, plus 254 710 444 353, plus 254 710 444 353. So reach out to them and you are going to get your interior design solutions. This is the Bold Analysis. Thank you very much for watching.